na museme, we don't want to be associated with you because you are handling stolen goods, peleka hizo nguo ambao umeiba huko nje. Je, nikikuja na briefcase imejaa pesa, mtanifukuza?
Wagalatia 6 na mstari wa 9 na 10 inasema msichoke kutenda mema. Na 10 inasema pale mnapopata nafasi watendee watu wote mema. Lakini inasema lakini zaidi kwa wale wa nyumba ya imani.
Ruto has remained adamant and says he will continue donating to the church.
Matthew 6:33 inasema tafuteni kwanza ufalme wa Mungu na haki yake, na haya mambo mengine yote mtafanya nini? Mtaongezewa. Si ndivyo Biblia inasema? So hawa watu wengine wanahangaika maneno mingi, wajue sisi kama Wakristo tuko na siri, na siri ni kutafuta kwanza ufalme wa Mungu na haki yake. Haya mambo mengine yote tutapata.
In January, during the installation of Bishop Philip Anyolo, the DP gifted the bishop a vehicle that later caused a storm, leading to its return. He has donated money to the conventional churches such as the Catholic Church, where the Cardinal John Jue himself has received the donation. He has also donated money to the Seventh-day Adventists, where he attended a harambe in Kisii, and to the Salvation Army, where he was the chief guest on Sunday in Kakamega.
Mashindano vikundi ni viwili. Kuna wale wanaomwamini Mungu na kuna wale wanaoamini uganga na uchawi. Hiyo ndio the difference.
Religious groupings in the country have millions of followers, and they gather every Sunday or Saturday. Could this be a calculated move by the DP, or is he genuine in the recent declaration?
When I am done with what I am doing at the moment, I will go back to being an evangelist that I was.
The DP has also paid for the Bible to be translated into a number of vernacular languages.
Will be preached to
Kennedy Muredi, NTV.
Right, we do have our panelists here this morning. I just want to introduce them to you before we continue with the show. We have with us Jeremiah Kioni, who is a member of parliament from Ndaragwa, also for Ndaragwa, and also he is the chair of CLSC. We have Dr. Shema Chodho, who is the chair of the Kenya Global Diaspora Alliance. We do have with us also David Ucheng, who is member of parliament for Ugenya. We have also with us, this is Okongo Mogini, who is the senator for Nyamira, and Alice Wahome. She is the member of parliament for Kandara. Good morning, gentlemen and lady.
Morning.
Good morning to you. Good to see you. And Alice Wahome, this morning, you should tell us about also your security details, right? Do you have your security detail this morning? I don't know if Jeremiah Kioni as well.
One is I don't need security.
If I knew there would be 4 gentlemen, I wouldn't have come because my security is compromised. On this,
your security is compromised.
We are good people.
You remember after the swearing in of Right Honorable Raila Odinga as the people's president, also some of ODM's officials or members of parliament, their security details were withdrawn. And we had also one member of parliament, of course, with his tongue family in cheek, saying that this was withdrawn because, we thought that NRM, the NRM youth will take action as well, to be the security details. Now that also Jubilee is suffering the same, they're saying the Tanga youth also now should be, or Kieleweke youth now should be guiding you as well.
I don't know, maybe you want me to respond to that? We
Briefly.
could start with that. I think there has been reports that security details of various members of parliament has been withdrawn, and my name has also been put in that list.
Is it true?
First and foremost, Debarl, I think it would be a very sad day that we continue to experience some of those activities by our security agencies. And whenever a member of parliament
So this is true?
Many members of parliament security details have been withdrawn. A good number, those who are said to be tanga-tanga. I'm aware that
without
that
any
is
rhyme
true.
or reason, actually, they just withdrawn like that.
It is true that various members, I don't want to mention them because there are names, very many names in the media, because clearly, if you are discussing the member of parliament security details in public, in social media, everywhere,
Yes.
it means that person is already vulnerable and exposed. So if I sit here to say whether it is my security or the other members, but it is true that there are a couple of members of parliament security details have been withdrawn. And the minute that goes to the public, it is a compromise on security regarding those particular individuals. The state has a responsibility to guard every Kenyan. And it is a work of the Minister for Interior and his permanent secretary to ensure that that security remains so for every Kenyan. But of course, the members of parliament are marked as VIP. And because of their special nature, the nature of their work,
yes,
they have extra risks in terms of that work. So, I want to say that it is not a privilege, and whether you are, you know, and especially even during the campaigns, that's even more reason why the security should be tightened. I think it is ridiculous that in this era and time, somebody can expect to intimidate a member of parliament so that they can change their affiliation.
Who do you think is intimidating you?
You know, there is this group you keep on calling Kieleweke.
Which is
that group? That group.
But you members are saying there is no Kieleweke or Tanga-Tanga. And I remember also last Tuesday you said there was...
Week,
yes.
I have seen a lot of media, whatever, that it is being attributed to them and attributed to Kibicho. I personally do not want to think it is any other person except the Minister of Interior. Nobody can withdraw your security, if you have security, without a signal from the office of the permanent secretary and the minister. So it is the interior minister. They are in charge on behest of some political shenanigans. Period.
Political shenanigans?
Yes.
Okay. We shall look at this much later in the course of the program. But also we want to welcome David Ochieng and of course applaud him for his victory in Ugenya last week. A round of applause for him.
As we welcome
he's fresh off the ballot.
He's a new kid in the block.
A new kid in the block.
Allow me to congratulate the MP-elect for Ugenya.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
It was quite a bruising battle. What was it, David, for you?
You know, that's the nature of politics. You go in and you expect anything and everything.
Yes.
Yeah, and so, you know, this wasn't new to me. You know, in 2017, I didn't run in my former party. I ran in my own party. And all this that you saw happening in the last election happened more actually in the 2017 election. So, yes, baptism by fire. But when I left the other party, I was prepared for this. And so I wouldn't say anything happened that is out of the ordinary. Yeah, we really want to thank the people of Ugenya and thank God for the victory. And just to let you know that this was not just a by-election. It is an attempt to ensure that we have some democracy in that part of the country. Being able to, you know, run in your own party or in a party that you like and get elected without any recriminations or anybody calling you names. And so we are happy that people in Ugenya saw the sense in electing us back to Parliament and to serve them, and to note just now that our election last week was purely based on my record. Probably know that we had done a very good job when we had a chance in the last Parliament. And we intend to continue that kind of work with the constituency.
Right.
Yes.
And they always say, if you build, they will come.
Definitely.
So if you have development, people, of course, will vote for you. So if you build, they will come.
Thank you.
Debarl Kioni, welcome back. Earlier, at the top of the hour, you told us that you're in Hungary.
Yes.
And of course, you're pushing for the, Kenya to be in the UN Security Council.
The non-permanent seat.
The non-permanent seat.
Yes.
So Hungary also is one of the countries actually in the UN Security Council.
They are a member of the UN as is expected, and they have a vote.
Okay.
And every time we have a team out of the country, that is one of the things that we try and do. And Hungary is also interested with some other positions within the UN. So it's like scratch my back, I scratch yours. And that's how it goes in the diplomatic world.
Okay.
We also had a Chinese delegation that left 2 days ago. And I was part of the team that was involved in some meetings with them. And again, we made the same request. The Chinese delegation left on, I think they were leaving for Jubilee on Sunday morning.
Okay.
So it's an ongoing exercise. Certainly not going to be easy, but we expect to win. Why should you be there if you don't expect to win?
Okay.
Yes.
Okongo Mogeni.
Yes.
But did you allow me to say that the issue of security?
We'll come back to it.
Though I have no security and I don't think I need it.
You have no security?
And
You've never had?
I don't need it.
Okay. Out of your own volition, isn't it?
Yes,
okay.
But you are entitled to one and it should not be withdrawn unnecessarily. But I think it's also important that even as we talk about security, if you have more than one security guard also, I know the entitlement is to one, you need to also to tell us if you have more than one.
Thank you.
And why.
Let's hear from Okongo Mogeni. Good, sir. Good to see you. Good morning.
It's morning, sir.
So a lot of things have been happening on there. Right now also, we have the legislative, county legislative summit happening in Kisumu.
Yeah, Kisumu. I'll be heading there after this.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do we expect?
Of course, this is a forum that brings together senators and members of county assembly and various leadership of constitutional offices, especially the independent commissions. So basically, we are discussing the revenue sharing formula that has been prepared by the Commission on Revenue Allocation. We also want to see how we can come up with systems that can increase the revenue collection at counties. We also want to discuss how members of county assemblies can hype up their oversight role on the executive and also how we can absorb more funds on development and not necessarily on money that is used for salaries and the day-to-day running of county governments. So in essence, we want to come together as members of the legislative arm to see how we can make devolution work and be felt by the people we represent at the county level. Really, that is the main purpose of this forum today.
Okay.
And it will run for the next 3 days. It will be opened by the president today, and we hope the DP will be there tomorrow, and the former prime minister to close it up on Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Of course, we shall be looking at the current state of play as far as politics is concerned with the panelists much later in the course of the program. But this should interest you because it will adversely affect you. This week threatens actually threatens more pain, as you will be required to pay more fuel. Now, in revised prices announced by Energy Regulatory Commission, the price of super petrol has gone up by 5 shillings and 25 cents to retail at 106 shillings and 6 cents a litre. Diesel has also gone up by 5 shillings and 52 cents to retail at 102 shillings and 13 cents a litre, while the price of kerosene has also gone up by 2 shillings and 76 to retail at 99.46 shillings per litre. We have also been keeping an eye on the prices of other commodities in the market. And your bread now, what you'll be taking in the morning, the average price of bread has increased by 1 shilling this week compared to the previous week, from 47 shillings to 48 shillings. Half a litre of fresh milk is retailing at an average of 51 shillings this week, 4 shilling increase from last week's average of 47 shillings. A 2 kilogram packet of maize flour is now retailing at an average of 100 shillings. Right, let's see also what is happening with maize flour and fresh milk. Let's see how it goes as well. Wheat flour, right? A 2 kilogram packet of wheat flour retails at an average of 118 shillings. A 2 kilogram packet of rice retails at 463 shillings. A 2 litre of bottle of cooking oil gas goes up 372 shillings. Right, of course, we shall be keeping an eye also on that as well. But for now, we want to see also what is happening on the international front. We told you about Somali security, and also we're keeping an eye on what is happening in Sudan. And Tiger Woods on the winning trot as well. Now, an airstrike killed the deputy leader of Islamic State group in Somalia's semi-autonomous Puntland region alongside another militant. A local security official said this on Sunday. A witness said a 4x4 vehicle was hit by several missiles 3 kilometers outside the village of Xiririro in the Kwandala Hills at 1 p.m. on Sunday. According to the United Nations, the hub helped set up the first cell of Ittihad al-Islamiyah, an ideological predecessor to Al-Shabaab, a militant group fighting the Somali national government for over a decade. He later defected to Islamic State. And Sudan's military council has removed Defense Minister Awad Ibn Auf from his role and appointed a new intelligence chief, a spokesman said this on Sunday. A spokesman for the council, Lieutenant General Shams El-Din Kebashi, also said there had been a decision by the former regime to disperse the sit-in by force at any cost. Sudan's main protest group demanded the immediate handover of power to a civilian transitional government earlier on Sunday, saying it will keep up the street demonstrations which ousted former President Omar al-Bashir last week to achieve its aims.
Within the context of the arrangement of things, a number of decisions were issued, and the first being the exemption of General Awad Ibn Auf. It is true that he resigned from the presidency of the military council, but he was still in service. The decision was to exempt him from the service and move him to resignation, as well as his deputy, General Kamal Abdel Maruf al-Mahi, who was the Joint Chief of Staff in addition to being part of the military council. After evaluating the events, there was a decision by the authority of the former regime to oust the demonstrations by force at any cost. We do not dismantle the sit-in by force, but our call remains to all those involved in the sit-in to restore life to how it was. If this is the case, if there are gunmen in the sit-in, of course we have a responsibility. We are a nation. People. We will not allow this. The protection of the protesters, as long as they are in any place and in any spot in the land of Sudan, so long as we allow this sit-in or any form of protesting, then we have to protect it. We need to agree on the basis of forming the government. The ball is now in their court. There was a question on the timeline of forming the government. The ball is in the court of political forces and other bodies that I mentioned, from organizations, youth and women. If they are ready today and agree on anything, we are ready to execute. We are calling on them to agree and to meet on one word, so as not to take too much time in the appointment of the Prime Minister and to form a civil government.
And Sudanese protesters demanded freedom and justice after the Transitional Military Council promised to hand over power to a civilian government within 2 years. Outside of the Defense Ministry, several thousand demonstrators continued a sit-in just days after the overthrow of long-ruling autocrat President Omar al-Bashir. While some protesters chanted and waved flags, others recorded signs of the protest movement, drawing women and doves on nearby walls. A sit-in in the Sudanese capital, which began on April the 6th, was the culmination of a protest movement that began nearly 4 months ago, triggered by a worsening economic crisis in the country. Tiger Woods completed one of the sport's great all-time comebacks to end in 11-year major title drought at the Masters on Sunday by claiming a 5th green jacket. A gritty 2-under-70 clinched a one-shot victory over Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka and Xander Schauffele, earning the 43-year-old a 15th major title that many thought would never come, and instantly renewed talk of a run at Jack Nicklaus' record of 18. Not since the 2008 US Open had Woods hoisted a major trophy, while the last of his 4 Augusta titles came in 2005, his 5th green jacket, leaving him one short of another Nicklaus record. The victory also marked the first time Woods had reached the winner's circle at the major without leading the 54 holes. Overnight leader Francesco Molinari's title charge collapsed when the Italian notched 2 double bogeys.
Yeah, buddy.
Congratulations, Tiger.
Thank you,
So
Mr.
happy
Chairman.
for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bully for him, of course, he's been through the hoops, you know. A divorce, back injury. It's good to see Tiger back on top of the pedestal. Congratulations to him. We want to take a short break right now. When we circle back, of course, we shall be looking at this and a raft of other issues as well as politics is concerned. Remember, the country is also seeking out another sovereign bond. That is the Eurobond 3.0, so to speak. But Oko said to clear controversial Eurobond deal. No evidence. Teams dispatched on fact-finding missions to Europe and US say to have returned empty-handed. This story tucked away in today's Daily Nation. We take a short break right now. When we come back, of course, we continue the discussion of press with our panelist. Don't go away. Welcome back. You're watching This Is a Point here on AM Live, and we continue with the talk on matters politics, looking at the current state of play as far as the political landscape is concerned. And of course, one of the biggest issue has been the withdrawal of security details from some members of parliament, and also looking at today's standard as well. It says that 20 or so are targeted as a plot on Ruto allies moves to houses. I'll just walk over to my touchscreen to show you what it really shows. This is a number of DP's allies whose security will be withdrawn increases as sources reveal. This is on the front page of the Standard this morning. 20 targeted as a plot on Ruto allies moves to houses. Number of DP's allies whose security will be withdrawn increases as sources reveal. Some of them will be stripped of the lucrative positions in Parliament. This story is tucked away on page 6 of the Standard this morning. So we want to see what is the problem underlying this particular development. What is actually fomenting beneath that we do not know, or the public does not really know, that has led to some of the security details being withdrawn. Alice Ohome is someone who's also suffered the brunt of this. Jeremiah Kioni says he needs no security details as well. Okongo Mogini, we have also David Ucheng, right, fresh off the ballot. This is your maiden appearance on TV after the by-election. Is that so?
No.
No, not yet, huh?
No.
Oh, yeah. You're actually on Citizen.
That's right.
Yeah, just recently as well. Yeah, but on NTV AM Live, we welcome you warmly.
Thank you.
Right. But let's see, Okongo, when looking at this particular headline in the Standard, what do you think is happening? Is there something simmering beneath the Jubilee Party? And who are these who are targeted, and why are they targeted? And what does it portend, for the handshake?
Yeah, I think Debarl, if we were to be honest to ourselves, I'm not a member of Jubilee, but all the signs are there that something is not right with the Jubilee Party. And as you can see, even from what you see in the news, we now have serious factions within Jubilee. We started by having, I think there is Tanga Tanga, we had Kieleweke, now I think there is another third one called Team Kenya. And I think
there's a Team Kenya as well.
Yeah, and then there is some teams that is around some idealistic approach. I think you see there the DP is saying his team is the one of God-fearing. Those who are not with him are the Wachawi,
yes,
Nawaganga. Then on Kieleweke, they are saying those who are with the DP are not in support of the president in his war in fighting corruption, and they are also not with the president in his endeavors to ensure that he leaves behind a nation that is united. They say they are against the handshake. Those who are in Kieleweke, led by, I think, my good friend Maina Kamanda, they say, and I think rightly so, that they are behind the president in his onslaught in fighting corruption and leaving a legacy of uniting Kenya. And I think what I've seen clearly is that the side that is with the DP is not behind the president in his fight against corruption. I've seen Murkomen, who is the majority leader in the Senate, who actually should be leading government business agenda in the House, coming out strongly and attacking the DCI, the DPP, and actually says those who support the DCI are the ones who are engaged in corruption themselves. And so really, Debarl, this house called Jubilee, we are just watching it crumbling in our own eyes. They are not talking as a team, and I think what you are seeing here, 20 targeted as plot on Ruto allies moves to the House,
yes,
is a sign of a president who is feeling like he's not getting the support he needs in either Parliament or the Senate to push forward his agenda of fighting corruption and good governance and enhancing accountability within government. And I think if you see what the elders from Central Kenya have said, I've just read in one of the newspapers, I think there is a feeling generally. I was in my county in Nyamira over the weekend, and anytime you rise up and you say you are behind the president in his war of fighting corruption and uniting the nation, you can see the reaction from the Kenyans that everybody is unanimously behind the president. So what I don't understand is why, and I've not seen anybody being taken to court so far. What the president has simply told us is that the DCI, EACC, DPP have been given full support to conduct investigations, and if there is anybody who is culpable in this war against corruption, they should be taken to court. Why this leaves some Jubilee followers unsettled is something that I've never understood. Maybe Wahome should tell us, but I thought if you are in Jubilee and this is an agenda for Jubilee Party, you want to fight corruption, you want to enhance accountability, we should all rally behind the president. I don't understand why we should have these factions. But I think typical of what has happened in each election, these parties are normally formed to win a particular election. By the next election, I saw in Kiambu the other day, when the DP was being hosted by Waititu, you saw youths came out wearing yellow T-shirts, shouting that URP is back. So I don't think we shall have Jubilee by 2022. I'm certain that the signs we are seeing are indicative of a party that will crumble sooner than later.
Right. And as I mentioned earlier, that we have also Moses Kuria ruining the day that the TNA was dissolved. And he's saying that another political party is in the offing. Jeremiah Kioni, where do you stand actually? You've never really declared your position as far as the Tanga and Kieleweke is concerned, and now we're hearing there's another faction as well. Which one was this that you're saying, Okongo Mogini? There's a third faction.
Team Kenya.
Team Kenya. Are you in Team Kenya, or are you in Team Tanga, or Team Kieleweke? Or you just, which fence are you sitting on?
I think one of the things is that if there's anything that is not Kieleweke, it will certainly be understood during the election day. Whatever is not Kieleweke, itaeleweka siku ya kura. And I think when I hear my seniors say that Jubilee is having problems, I think there is activity within Jubilee. While signs of the end of ODM are with us, even on this table, we have the young man right with us as evidence that ODM could easily be over, even as he wishes the death of Jubilee. Because you can see...
no, we'll come to ODM.
Yes, I'm coming there.
We on you.
Yeah. But,
yeah. So don't go cross over to ODM yet. And you need to tell us where you are, and don't tell us about 2022 and the elections. We should know the truth. The question is, are you in Tanga, are you in Kieleweke, or Team Kenya?
What are those things you're talking about?
You have no sodding idea what they are.
No, I have no interest in. It's a waste of time.
Is it?
Even debate on those things is a waste of time. Look at
what is on page 7. Some of you are accusing. If we're talking about a united Jubilee party,
the Star.
The Standard on page 7. MPs accuse Ruto of dividing Jubilee. Yeah. So what would you say that this is, and then the leaders dare those against the war on graft, handshake to walk out of the party?
I'll tell you why I think it's a waste of time. What we should be talking about is where we want the country to go. Hii mambo ya kitanga na Kieleweke. Really, look at where is the substance. We are facing hunger in this country. We have no rains coming.
Yes.
And the fertilizer, we cannot access the fertilizer. So it's really, these things of Kiteweke, they are all a waste of time.
Yeah, it's a waste of time, and that's why.
And what I want to say is that 2022, William Ruto will be on the ballot. Raila Amolo Odinga will be on the ballot. What is it that they are going to offer the country going forward? For now, we are solidly behind President Uhuru Kenyatta in all that he is doing. And I don't think we really need to get the country to move away from this, and they are not useful terminologies at all. And they are just there to tag you, and really, and even those who are out there, branding themselves as Tanga and Kieleweke, I think there is confusion. My position is that we have a presidential candidate for 2022, and I think we need to start listening to them as to where do they want to take as a country. Those of us who are supporting this side or the other side should ideally be out there trying to tell us what they have for this country. We are certainly going to have an inflation because of the kind of situation that we are in.
All right.
Kenyans are looking at very high cost of living today. And I mean, if I meet Gojiri and he's talking about Kitere, I really get worried. I sympathize with them.
Thank you.
Because,
I mean, be that as may,
Debarl,
just a moment.
Yeah, but we cannot come here to peddle.
We are not peddling.
A tide, kitu imechoka.
No.
We
are not peddling. As in, if, you cannot just cope with the idea that we have some legislators whose security details have been withdrawn.
That
is a reality on the ground.
That we talked about, and I said...
No, just listen. What is the genesis of all this? And also some of the MPs, they are fearing that, yes, some of them will be de-whipped because they're allied to Deputy William Ruto as well. Even if we're talking about development of a country, this is where also we'll have a tripping wire as far as moving forward is concerned. Because as much as we'll be talking about the development of a country, we'll still be drawn to this politicking that is within your parties as well.
And my position is this,
Moi said very well, siasa mbaya, maisha mbaya.
My position is this.
Let's begin from there, yes.
One is that the security detail of a member of parliament should not be withdrawn.
Yes.
Two is that if you have more than one security guard, you need to tell us why you need more. Three is that if there is any de-whipping that is going to happen, we will deal with it on the floor. And four is that I think these narratives are just meant to keep us going and avoiding the real issues that Kenyans want to talk about. If you ask me, I am concerned about the cost of milk in Daragwa. I mean, this is ridiculous. We are getting ourselves milked by some companies. There are some real issues that are affecting Kenyans today.
Yeah.
But we are occupying ourselves with some flowery things that sound nice and good for the social media, tweeting.
But where are you on Sundays when you take the pulpit to actually, you're not taking the pulpit to discuss about milk? Yeah, you're not taking you're not taking the pulpit to discuss about issues that affect Kenyans, their pockets as well.
When did you catch up with me?
The petrol has actually, we've just read this morning, has actually gone up now by significant amount.
Correct. When did you catch up with me?
You take up this pulpit to actually politic.
Yeah, but when did you catch up with me on a pulpit on a Sunday? I was there yesterday. We never talked about these things. We know where we are going 2022. We don't need to bother about it. But we talked about the issues that are affecting us.
Hunger in Daragwa. No, listen. What we were saying is the leadership in the country.
The poor allocation of revenue by counties, the poor utilization of revenue, their lack of ability to collect revenue. These are the issues, Debarl. Imambo ya askari, I mean, I've been there for more than 10 years without a bodyguard. So don't take us that.
You don't think Jeremiah Kioni is just glossing over things?
No.
Yeah,
Debarl,
yes.
I think I empathize, and to an extent I agree with Mheshimiwa Kioni. But having said that, there are critical issues. I think one of the most critical issues in the country today is the matter of security, national security generally. Not just security for MPs, but even for ordinary Kenyans. We've just seen what has happened, including terrorism, what's happened to the Cuban doctors. So clearly a priority should be, how do we reform the national security so that every Kenyan and everybody residing in Kenya feels safe? So there can be no denying that that's a major issue. In fact, even the many deaths, even many people taking their own lives or others' lives, I think we have a problem as a country which we need to address in terms of national security. But having said that, and coming back specifically to the ones of MPs' security being withdrawn, I think in as much as I am not sure, during our time as MPs, we didn't have many of these goodies that today's legislatures have. But if they are entitled to them, what I would have an issue with is the selective withdrawal, because that's not right. We can defend it today, but tomorrow it will be you. It will be done to you. So certainly, if they are being changed or withdrawn, let that apply across board, not selectively. But lastly, on this particular score, one may ask, why do MPs require special treatment? Obviously, the nature of their business sometimes exposes them to danger, harm and danger that may not be normal. But I was very surprised, Debarl, recently, while at one of the airports, and I think we have talked about it here, you find that there's a list of VIPs who are allowed to use the VIP rooms, and the MPs are not included. And then I ask myself, is it that the executive have decided that MPs are not VIPs at all? During our days, MPs were very special animals. And I am hoping we get to the stage where we so recognize and treat them. But maybe the MPs themselves must also interrogate, why is it that the executive is treating them with disdain? So in terms of withdrawal of the security of MPs selectively, that I certainly don't support.
David, what a day actually, coming to politics when it is very, tensed up.
This is Kenya, and this is normal. But I want to tell you this, that if you went out there, the normal Kenyan isn't concerned about the MP security.
Yes.
The normal Kenyan is concerned about whether he's going to have a square meal today, whether their kids go to school, whether they're able to access good roads. I mean, if you look at the papers you're looking at today, you're being told that prices of maize flour is going to go up. You just read there. Price of power have gone up. Prices of diesel is going up. And so, personally, I blame the media sometimes that you hype non-stories. You know, I mean, why would it be so important to have in the headline security of MPs, 20 of them? I mean, this thing of hyping the war within the Jubilee coalition.
Yes.
Yeah, the war between Ruto and Uhuru I mean, this is for me a lot of hype, and it's creating a lot of smoke, and that smoke is shielding us from seeing what's happening. The smoke that you're allowing to bubble from this, there's no heat coming from it. So corruption is going on, very bad things are going on, but the media keeps on feeding us smoke that is basically, you know, the fog then shields our faces from seeing what's happening in, look, leave alone the Cuban doctors. We have hunger biting this country now. People are dying of hunger. But this has now gotten off the headlines. Doctors are being, I mean, let us keep to the issues. If you don't keep to the issues, and you know, media has a very big role to play in this. Media shapes public opinion. Media decides what you're going to hear and see every day. And so if media decides that they're going to feed us on Raila, Ruto, Uhuru wars, then that's what the country is going to be seeing. But if you decide to keep to the issues that concern the country, issues that are important to the Wenjiku, then I think we'll be doing a good job. On the issue of the security of members of parliament, yes. I think this is a very old style of politics, extremely old. In fact, predates Moi times, where you browbeat people into certain positions and ideas just because you're going to do the security. I mean, if someone were to injure you or were to attack an MP, it don't matter. We got MPs who have been killed with 4 or 5 security and bodyguards. So this, for me, I think is wrong. And the Speaker of the National Assembly and the Senate, those 2 speakers, should take a stand on it. It shouldn't be left to the new members of Parliament. It should be a stand of the Speaker, because the Speaker and the PSC then are the custodians and basically the trade union for the members of Parliament. And I think this should be left to them. The idea that we're going to be discussing MPs in this show and whose security has been withdrawn and whose has not been withdrawn, I think it's way off. Let's keep to the issues.
But it's good we clear the air as well. It's good we clear the air, because I think even people will love to know what is really happening. Why is it happening?
Yeah, you know, when you single them out,
yes,
a problem comes out, and probably you feed it into those who want to escalate this war of security detail and all this. You feed into it. If you muzzle them and tell them you're not going to carry this, then they'll look for something else to do. And finally, on the same issue, Debarl, people in Uganda in the last 2 weeks ago have shown Kenya that we want to go another direction. We are tired of this politics, national politics. We want local issues that address our daily needs. And if you could get back to that, if media would also get back to that, the basics, healthcare, water, agriculture, roads, I mean, I think we're going to go a very, very long way.
Okongo Mogini, as you're winding up on this.
Yeah, I think, Debarl, if you remember, that when there was a debate on the security laws, I remember Honorable Rengo telling Senator Beth Mugo that they should not, enjoy and make mockery of the troubles that were befalling members of NASA fraternity when their securities were being withdrawn because they are in support of Baba and the likes. And I remember Honorable Orengo telling Beth Muga that, listen to me, revolutions normally eat their own children. And today, it may be us in NASA, tomorrow it may be you. I think that has come to pass.
True.
And I want to urge my colleagues in the National Assembly and the Senate to look at these things from a public interest perspective. And I think, Debarl, having said that, really, we have 3 arms of government. You have never woken up on a certain day and seen security of a judge being withdrawn because that particular judge made a judgment that is not acceptable to the state. Neither have you woken up to see security of a constitutional office holder or a CS being withdrawn simply because they have made pronouncements that are not agreeable to the state. What am I saying? that we are our worst enemies as members of parliament. And I want to say that if this issue was to come to the floor of the Senate, I will protest and I will castigate those in the executive who are trying, you know, to make security for members of parliament look like a privilege that has to be given to you if you agree with the government of the day. That is not the way we should do things, Debarl. And I think parliament remains the weakest link in these things. If we were all to come together and discuss these issues and make a decision that is not party-based, that is in the best interest of all members of parliament, we'll make the state to realize that there are some things we should not really condone, we should not see happening to honorable members of parliament. Finally, Debarl, remember there is a time, I think a few months ago, when a bill was presented to the floor, Parliamentary Service Commission bill, and it was trying to legislate and put into law this idea of a member of parliament being entitled to one bodyguard, because already it's there as a policy. There is communication from the DIG, Inspector General of Police, and our leadership at Parliament, and it has been agreed that each member of Parliament is entitled to at least one bodyguard, or more than one, if there is justification for that to be. And if we were to, all of us come together, we should put this thing in an act, we legislate it, we make it to be a right just as it is for judges, for CSS, and for other constitutional commission holders. I think it's primitive to make it look like if you want to pronounce yourself in a certain manner, then the government will hit at you by withdrawing your security. I don't support what Tanga team is doing, but as a lawyer, they are entitled constitutionally. They have a constitutional right to propagate their ideas, to sell their ideas to the public. That's their constitutional right. I think we will make them unnecessarily popular if we start withdrawing their security. Let them have their security. Let them tanga everywhere. As Mheshimiwa Kione said, the verdict will be delivered by the Kenyan people in 2022. So, in brief, if their security has been withdrawn, please let the government restore it. Let them have their security.
Right, Alice Wome, just close on it.
I think I had expressed myself regarding security question, and I want to repeat and say that I don't think there is any amount of intimidation that really should stop a member of parliament expressing their political, mind and desire, because they are elected to speak about various issues. And in fact, we have a lot of space within our constitution to express yourself, speak. And we have come from very far. These tactics that we are seeing now are the tactics that brought multi-party democracy and strengthened the people's voices in terms of rejecting the executive wanting to control the executive and control the judiciary and control the legislature. There are members of parliament, a small team, which is here on the newspaper, which is actually saying that this should happen. And tomorrow, I can tell you, like day and night, it will also now happen to them because, we have all agreed that this is a right to every Kenyan. And members of parliament, by virtue of their office, have extra requirement in terms of their security. But in any event, normally you actually apply because the policy is there. You apply and say, I am situated in this particular way and I need security. So for anybody to call upon your security to tell them to return without a suitable replacement, and nobody can dictate which officer will serve a member of parliament or any other officer who is entitled to security, I find that very ridiculous and very unacceptable. And I really want to press and say, if Matiang'i and Kibisho will go along this route, they will basically make our government, our Jubilee government, unpopular for nothing. Then may I also say that I'm even also surprised here. My learned friend here, Okongo, is saying that he doesn't agree with what Tanga team is doing. Obviously, there are those people who are seen to be Tanga and those seen to be, but that is not Jubilee. Jubilee is a party. But all these are members of Jubilee. But he's also not condemning or saying he does not commend what that other team called Kieleweke is doing. You say that over the weekends, they are all over. It's not just them. Now you can see that team read by Wambugu and Minor Commander because they are here on the newspaper. I'm reading the Standard, page 7. They actually are now joined by members of the ODM. I think he might, I want to bring him on speed. That ODM actually is within Kieleweke.
No. ODM is Kieleweke.
You see, they can't even agree among
them. You see,
ODM is Kieleweke.
And even Kanu, I can see they are led there, the William Kamket, Simba Arati.
This is page 7 of the Standard.
This page 7 of the Standard. So, you know, it is not Jubilee. It is a team that has...
ODM.
Yes.
No, I think Debarl.
No, let me finish.
Kioni say doesn't want to comment.
Let this guy let me finish my point.
The moment you mention ODM.
No,
my point is
I said the house is not
can you please protect me?
Okay, let her finish. She's closing on this. We move on to other issues.
Talked twice, double speak.
3 times.
But Jubilee has issues as a party. You know, that is true. We are saying we have issues, and these issues can only be sorted out by Jubilee itself and Jubilee leadership, led by His Excellency the President, who is the party leader. Indeed, for the whole of this year, last year, now, we have not called any Jubilee parliamentary group. And you can see these things are going around, not membership, because it is around the parliamentary group. Now, when you go to the grassroots, people are also asking that the party should now go to the grassroots so that they can elect their own officials at the grassroots.
Thank you.
But have I really...
You have exhausted.
Right. You've exhausted. I think this is a developing story. But now
it's a developing story.
Yeah, it's a developing story. We'll see how it pans out as well. This is what is on the front page of the Daily Nation.
But also there is the parliament. You know, there is question of people being targeted.
Thank you, Alice. I think we've exhausted that.
No members of parliament being targeted from removal from their offices. You see, you are calling it, the media is calling it being in lucrative offices. How are they lucrative? There is no package as such. So they're just the responsibilities that members of parliament have been given.
The media is called them lucrative.
Lucrative, yes. Those positions of maybe you are the whip.
All right.
Yeah, it's just the responsibilities.
Thank you. Let's see what is on the front page of the Daily Nation today. This is what you're waking up to. This is all about the Eurobond as well. UCO sets to clear controversial Eurobond deal. No evidence, it says. Teams dispatched on fact-finding mission to Europe and US say to have returned empty-handed. Let's just begin with Dr. Shemo Ochodo on this particular development. I mean, there was a heated debate. This was actually revealed by then, you know, the opposition, that we had a strong opposition about the Eurobond and the saga around it, that we didn't have, you know, clear-cut explanation from the government as far as how this money was dispersed to various projects in the country. So also right now we are seeking Eurobond 3.0, so to speak, right? And there's still some issues around the Eurobond 1. Auditor General will come back with no answers about the first Eurobond.
Debarl, I would be extremely frustrated if the Auditor General was to come up and give a clean bill of health for reasons that they failed to get information. I think accountants, and I'm no accountant, but I once worked as an audit trainee for a major global accounting firm. There are many options when an auditor turns a verdict. When you can't access information, of course, you pinpoint. To say that there was a clean bill of health, I'm hoping if that happens, I think we need to wait for the Auditor General to talk for himself. But if that was to happen, then I would be very surprised. We would then question, where is this money and where did it go? And for me, even for the handshake team, because I think the leadership of ODM was the first to bring out this issue of Eurobond, I'm hoping that it's not going to be blinded by the Kieleweke and all this other noise we are hearing. Not to pinpoint, to stand with the Kenyans, so that come out openly and tell Kenyans, yes, we thought this money was lost, but it turns out that this Eurobond was actually used, and it was used in this manner and that manner. But having said that, Debarl, I was hoping we would also have some time to talk about on the key issues. Particularly, Kenyans are suffering. I was shocked to wake up and find that the first time petrol is increased by about 6 shillings. I think the first time since we had that controversial law in Parliament that was passed, the 8% increase in VAT. It's the highest increase that we are having at a time when Kenyans are already suffering. And of course, my colleagues here have mentioned the other things that have gone up. Really, that's an area we should be focusing on. But also, as this is all happening, we are being told there are plans to still have Eurobond 3.0, third generation Eurobond. We're still borrowing. I think in that regard, I concur with the people who argue that, look, this other fighting that we are seeing of Kieleweke versus Tangatanga and so on is just to divert attention, which would be very unfortunate in my view. I think we need to focus on the key issues. Last night I was watching in one media house, Caperero, it's called Caperero School, Caporep School in Turkana, where classrooms are under trees. And there were photos being shown. A teacher very proudly says, this is standard 1, it's under a tree. You're asking yourself, where's the classroom? And then, you know, for us, we are busy fighting about these other things. Really, and I think we need to get, I would be ashamed as a leader, regard whether an MCA or an MP or whatever level, to see that that's the Kenya we have, and we are busy talking about non-issues. Yet other countries are bypassing us. When it comes to Rwanda, for example, and investment, I pleasantly learned that in 2017, $1.8 billion went into Rwanda. I belong to a chat group where people were saying Rwanda is a small country, it's just like one county of Kenya. But it's one country, but it gets $1.8 billion investment. It gets much more than the investment than the entire Kenya, all those 47 countries are getting, which is barely $1 billion. So we should have reason to be worried. And in my view, those are the areas we should be focusing on. But finally, although you ended the issue of for the MPs security being withdrawn, articles actually, freedom of conscience, has Article 32, every person has the right to freedom of conscience, thought, belief, and opinion. It goes further, even Article 33, freedom of expression, and so on. So these are inalienable rights, particularly for MPs who are elected, who have. So it's really wrong and cannot be excusable.
All right. David.
No, thank you so much. You know, Debarl, I can tell you, the whole thing of Eurobond wasn't going to end well. If you remember, sorry to use that word, but in one of his one of those moments when the president gets very angry, remember one of this Eurobond thing, one time made the president so angry, and you saw him basically talking at
the Auditor General.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so from that time, I knew that nothing will be forthcoming from this kind of...
So was he intimidated? That actually
no, not just intimidated.
Yes.
You know, the way the government works is that the government can block you from getting information.
Sure.
I'm so certain that in this particular case, the issue won't be about what Ouko found or what he did not find out. It will be much about what is available for him to make an opinion on. And for me, this, I would not put this on Ouko. I would put it on the government of Kenya. Tell us, even as there would be a clean bill of health, tell us, what did Eurobond do? What did this money achieve? This money was meant for projects for development. Tell us, with particulars, this road, this industry, this, you know, tell us, this is the money we got. Even as Ouko gives it a clean bill of health, tell us, yes, we received this 200 billion shillings. Show us. Kenya is a very small country. You can tell us which road in Turkana, yes, which industry in Nyandarua, you know, which hospital in Siaya. So that we know that much as the bill of health, we know where this money went. And Debarl, this is the larger question. We don't refuse government should borrow, but borrowing should be done for projects for development, not for the kind of expenditure, not for air. No, not for things that we cannot see and fail, not for shadowy deals. Borrowing should be done. We know you are borrowing to buy this cup. Once we borrow, we are told we bought this cup at 20 shillings, 10 shillings remain, this is what we put in, remaining 10 shillings on. Yes. But you see, if you're going to be laundering theft and claim that, you know, the Auditor General has given us a clean bill of health, the Auditor General doesn't spend money, doesn't borrow. His job is cut and dried in the sense that he is only supposed to look at what happened with the money that was borrowed. But it also belies the bigger picture about the office of the Auditor General. If that office is not facilitated well, if that office is intimidated, if that office is not allowed to do its job, if that office is made an appendage of what happens in the executive, then we lose. That office, under the Constitution, was made as an independent office because of the important position it holds in the country. And so we really should be questioning whether, and this was a big issue when I was in Parliament, we raised this in Parliament, whether we are increasingly trying to erode the very independence of that office to the benefit of thieves and people who don't want the right things to happen in the country. But as I finish on that, Debarl, if you look at, and I want to just tie those two stories.
To what is on the Business Daily.
The Business Daily,
yes.
the headline there, and the issue of debt in the country. If you don't manage debt soon, and you've seen even the forecasts that are coming out, the reason Ethiopia and Rwanda and Senegal are going up is because they've been able to manage their debt ratios to their expenditure for development. And if this is not done, then we are seeing ourselves digging ourselves into a hole every day. And you know, if you listen to what happens in the world, if you lose arithmetic, if your numbers are not adding up, then you start lying on numbers. Then you start lying to the country, because we cannot see the borrowing you're making translating into the better living standards for Kenyans. But the bottom line for me should be, are borrowings we're making bettering the lives of young people? Are there jobs being created? Are infrastructures being done? Are we getting ourselves better off by borrowing, or are we are digging ourselves into a hole? Thank you.
Right. But the issue around the Auditor General as well, and the Public Audit Act that we know that was controversial before, now it was essentially by the President. So many questions about, you know, also clamping down the powers of the Auditor General, that you don't even have the right now to actually, you know, even hire your own staff. This now is relegated to be under the remit now of the Public Service Commission as well. Did we see any signs on the walls as far as, you know, also threatening, so to speak, the Office of the Auditor General to independently work?
No, Debarl, we saw this. And actually, there were amendments by myself. Personally, I had almost 30 amendments to that bill when I was in Parliament. There were so many amendments. Someone even went to court. Remember, Uko himself went to court, sued the President, sued Parliament.
Yes.
And the court said, no, you can't do this. So basically, it's trying to claw back on those powers. And this is only done by a fearful and a government that wants to hide things. Because if you set up bodies, and this is the larger issue about institutions in the country. If you want to strengthen DCI, you want to strengthen EACC, and at the same time, you are trying to emasculate which reports are they going to be using? If you're saying you are strengthening institutions to fight corruption, and the very institution that is supposed to help, the one that is at the receiving end, is being weakened, then you are lying to Kenyans. If you weaken the Auditor General, which report will DCI use? Which report will Parliament use? Which report will EACC use to fight corruption? It's just lying to Kenyans, and I think we need to all wake up and say that we are defeated in this. We don't know what you want. I keep telling people, if you want the best thing in this country, we need to drain the swamp. Let's leave ODM and these Jubilee things around and come to MDG. We work on a new country together.
All right, let's hear from Okongo Mogini. So if there are questions around Eurobond 1 still, and then they'll come.
I'm still.
Oh, you're still there?
I'm still home. I'm still here. I haven't left. You can't allow me by that time when I'm just sitting.
Oh, really? Oh, my sequence is bad. Let's hear from Jeremiah Q. We'll come to you, Okongo Mogini.
I know. Yeah, you did. I know what you're avoiding. You still don't want
but I think Jeremiah told us he doesn't want to make any contribution.
No, I didn't say that. I was looking at the newspapers very hard here, and I was trying to find out where is ODM. I'm coming to the issue of the Eurobond, and I found them on page 7.
Page 7 of...
Page 7 of the...
You tell us you don't want to comment, you take us back there.
I hope I get it, I don't want to lose it. Page 7.
Of which paper?
Now, no.
Which paper?
This, I've lost it again. I think it's page 7. No. Let me
making my
just a brief one. I wanted just to challenge.
No. Let's hear from Okongo.
Just a moment. Let's hear from Okongo. Then we can go as he goes through the newspapers.
Now I found them on page 7. I don't know which newspaper. And the issue is this. In that page 7, you'll see the Secretary General, Sifuna. Is he Sifu? Sifuna. Trying to justify why they have lost 3 by-elections. And I'm telling you, where is home, we are doing well in Jubilee.
No, I think even that's an issue. We've crossed that bridge. We're on Eurobond right now.
Yes, and I'm trying to link you to the Eurobond.
No, there's no linkage between now and the last election. And
Debarl, you cannot gag me. We've just been given the section of the Constitution that gives me that. Yes, it gives me that
but you're going off
freedom.
The rails.
When you are dealing with the Eurobond, you cannot afford not to see what I was driving you to. Look at what you have reported on page 4. And you see, on this,
This is Nation.
Today's. Yeah, you know, you have many papers there.
I have all of them, and I can tell you, I know where everybody. This is where ODM is, if you are looking for that video. Page 4. You will see the sequence of how we came to the issues of Eurobond. And even as we, and I fully support that the Office of the Auditor General must be allowed to be independent, it must be funded, and it must be well-sourced. It must have the proper human resource. That we should never allow ourselves to go down on that. But look at it. My position is very different from what I've heard my colleagues talk about. We must make sure, I am keen to know whether this issue of Eurobond was just hype. For all that time, we were told that the Eurobond was fake. It is a way of stealing money from Kenyans. And I can see the Right Honorable Raila Odinga on December 1st, 2015, he talked about it. 2016, he was at it again. And we are here with the Auditor General coming to give a clean bill of health. We even have a private company that was hired by the Treasury to deal with the issue of PKF Kenya to conduct a special audit on the loan, giving it, again, it was given a clean bill. Debarl, what I'm trying to say is, again, back to the same narratives of Tanga Tanga and Kiereweke. These narratives, we need to be very, very careful about them. If we cry that money has been stolen from us as Kenyans, and then at the end of it all, again, there's nothing to prove it. At the end of it, there will be losers. One, Kenyans will lose faith in the fight against corruption. Two, even the media will be asked, where are the facts? How are you telling, is this just another story to keep us going? And I don't want to think that Oko is coming to, I don't believe he belongs to the class of people who can give you a clean bill of health if you have not done it well. I believe that we need to be more accurate with the stories and narratives that paint the image of this country very negatively out there. So that when we say money has been stolen, let us say it from a very factual point of view. If we have, there's the freedom of information that is guaranteed in our constitution, so that we do not create a narrative that keeps, putting us down. We can't even generate proper economic growth because our narratives are always negative against our country. This worries me. If this is true, that we have a clean bill of health, then somebody needs to answer for the image that has been created about us as people who are not capable of borrowing, people who are not capable of managing the money that we have borrowed. That is what would concern me more with this story. But I want to agree that we will want to source it more, make it properly. This Office of the Auditor General, it must be properly equipped because it's a very, very crucial check for our executive.
All right.
And I really, if this comes to pass, we cannot allow everything to just be swept under the bridge.
But we need to also flip the coin and look at the other side. Could the narrative have changed because of a handshake?
Yes.
Yes, that now we have the handshake and of course what you're opposing before, it has to now be glozed over. Everything that was sort of a special umbrage that was taken by the opposition right now, it is no smooth sailing.
What does it talk about the opposition?
Has the handshake collapsed everything, even the Eurobond from the investigation, NYS, everything will be like, it never happened, Ken.
Let Mugeni tell us now.
Congo tell us.
Yeah.
After I've told you where ODM
before
is.
I comment last.
Oh, Congo, yeah, it's on you. Yeah. So is it now the handshake is swelling up, even the Eurobond one? Now we have a clean bill, bill of health.
Debarl, if you bring Honorable Kion here and you don't allow him to talk about ODM and...
no, you are the one who introduces ODM and
he will sit in a corner there, but you know, if he has just seen something, ODM and Raila, and he has come to life, he's sparkling, wants space to comment. I mean, and it's just distracting us. We are talking about Eurobond, and my colleague here raised a very critical issue. He was saying, citing Article 35 of the Constitution, access to information. Can the government tell us how it used the Eurobond? And I thought Honorable Kion would build on that. I mean, if this country has received more than 480 billion, I was going through my constituents over the weekend, and there is a road there, 42 kilometers, and the contract is 2.1 billion for 42 stretch kilometers. So how much can we do with 480 billion? We can do a lot. But Debarl, their officers, we always leave off the hook. And we just focus on one office called Auditor General. You know, Auditor General can never investigate somebody and recommend prosecution. Auditor General is like a whistleblower. He will just tell you, he will give you leads and hints where something may have gone wrong. I think the disconnect here is the office of EACC. You know, if you look at the UN Convention Against Corruption, the only watchman of resources that are brought into the country is EACC. They are the ones who should keep an eye on how money is spent. They are the only guys who have, you know, corresponding powers to move to other countries and seek answers on how money has been spent, if there is something that has not added up. But now I'm wondering, since this issue was raised in 2015, we are in 2019, and we have never received any report from EACC to tell us that this issue was brought to our attention. We have done our investigations. There is somebody culpable, or this was a clean deal. I don't know why, Debarl, you never call these guys here to come and tell us what are they doing with the money that they are allocated year in, year out. You know, Ouko, to be fair to him, Auditor General does not have investigators in his office. The people he has there are accountants and auditors. The guys who have investigators, trained investigators, is EACC. Now the question that should be begging to the minds of Kenyans, why is EACC shying away from doing an investigation on this particular issue, where Parliament has raised a red flag, where the Auditor General has raised questions, where Kenyans keep on asking, where did this money go? Why is the EACC coming out, taking up this matter and conducting an investigation? And I think, for me, the people who should be on the dock is not the Auditor General, it is EACC. And Debarl, imagine we are just about to take another 250B, another Eurobond. Well, I'm told we are again going to borrow another 37B from another international agency. Now, if we don't have answers as Kenyans, the way my colleague Ochenga said, if we really don't have a very clear explanation on how this money was spent, are we being fair to Kenyans?
But what is the role, no, you as legislators actually in Parliament to actually raise questions on this as well?
Debarl, as I've told you, if you read the PAC reports, these issues have been flagged, and that's what I'm telling you. The role of, you know, Parliament cannot conduct investigation that can lead to a preparation of a file that can be taken to court. Somebody is charged and prosecuted, but we can raise, you know, a red flag and say we are not satisfied on how money is spent here. But now the next person who should step in.
Congo Mogini, what really stops you from actually holding a press conference like you do within the presence of Parliament to actually address this issue? Because we normally see you having rejoinders on the Tanga and Kieleweke, and you have a press conference, you call media, but when we have pertinent issues like this, you know, it's just lost within the corridors of Parliament. Yeah? Why can't you, even you, some of you panelists, Alice Wahome, Jeremiah Kioni, now we have also David, come and say questions about the Eurobond having a clean bill of health. Yes, we have access to Information Act now in place. Kenyans want to really know, as far as the Eurobond is concerned, could the government tell us this is where the funds went? And how can we give it a clean bill of health?
Maybe now I should come in my...
Has it finished? You finished?
Let me sum up. You know, Debarl, if you don't allow us to point weaknesses on our constitutional officers, you are not serving public interest. We can call press conferences, we can talk about these things, but our constitution recognizes one entity or two entities, either the DCI or EACC. Even if I came out today and say money has been stolen, nobody will believe Okongo Mobe. But if EACC comes out and say we have followed this issue of Eurobond, we have prepared a file, and we believe there is somebody
But
who can be named.
I'll ask you a simple question.
No, let me finish, then you can cross-examine.
We're about to finish, actually.
The person who should help us in deterring the occurrence of these things are those constitutional officers.
You've made your point, I've heard that. But the question is, do you think the handshake actually swallowed up the Eurobond?
Thank you.
And he ran away from it.
Yeah, you've been advocated on this. I just wanted to
I think
he will not answer that question. I should be the one answering that question. You see, how can you ask him that question? He's going to lose his job.
Let's move on. Allow me to finish. Now, first of all, I don't think anything I say here puts me at risk of losing my seat as Senator for Nyamira. I think I was elected to propagate national issues on behalf of my people.
We are strapped for time, sir.
And Debarl, if the handshake has made any contribution in trying to fight corruption, it has been very positive. For the first time, we are seeing an emboldened DCI and EACC.
The question is on Eurobond. Let me give you Alice. I think she has answered.
That fighting of corruption is true.
Thank you, Alice.
We don't seem to be going anywhere.
This is how you assess whether we are going okay or not okay as a country. And I think I want to commend my colleague. He's from a party that is called MDG, Movement for Growth and Democracy, or Democracy and Growth. But here, the question of whether the handshake has swallowed or has compromised the question of the office of the Auditor General. I think for me there is a possibility that the Auditor General is changing tune. And I'm really would be very disappointed because he should never, this office is supposed to be dependent. And when he came out with the question of the first Eurobond, there was a lot of support from the ODM, the NASA team, and they put a lot of pressure on the government, the Jubilee government. And the pressure point were even that, look, the people, they were coming up even with names. The Auditor General's office should be stronger and be strengthened, especially with the handshake. It should not be weak at this particular time. But changing tune and saying now he has come back with nothing, he has to tell us actually, and this is where maybe the members of parliament come in, he has to tell us whether that time the information he had was not sufficient or adequate, or what has happened with the information that he came out and actually shared with even the opposition. In this particular case, you remember even the president wondering how he could be able to go to the Federal Reserve Bank to do some... Page 4, which Kioni was referring to, has a lot of references to what he had done then. This particular time, he should have been given comfort through the handshake to come up with the material, unless he now tells us he was actually wrong, because he could also be wrong. We want to hear him saying money was lost or money was not lost, so that we can have confidence in giving him more money, giving him more political support. Parliament has a big role. You are asking a senator. Senators don't do this. This PAC is in the National Assembly, and PAC is led by opposition. So opposition will not now actually grill the people. Yes, they will not grill. You are waiting for them. It is now maybe these other teams that are being denied security that will come up with this and demand answers from the office of the Auditor General. There is a problem.
There's a problem. Let's leave it at that. No, we need to leave it at that.
Yeah, but today, Debarl...
You're actually being unfair to the Auditor General.
We will pick it up from the next week.
No, I'm just...
Right?
I'm not being unfair to him.
We're strapped for time. I'll just give you 10 seconds each of you to wind up. 10 seconds. Jeremiah Kioni, beginning with you, 10 seconds.
10 seconds. One is that if the EACC was to conduct an investigation on this Eurobond, they will certainly need the Auditor's General's report. They will need the accountant's report. So you cannot wish them away. Those are not 10 seconds. Two, is that I think, without going back, remember Professor Nyang' Yong comes here, he doesn't come with security. Three, there is mistreatment of members of parliament by the executive.
Thank you.
If that is not sorted out, it will be very ugly.
Thank you. Let's hear Dr.
Debarl, just to be fair to the Auditor General, I think it's reported that he's set to clear. I don't think the Auditor General himself has spoken. With due respect, I'm one of the people who held it against the Auditor General when I saw him being supported by, being backed up by ODM, prominent ODM MPs as lawyers. But having said that, I think he has been very candid in his work so far. Let's wait until we hear of him. But finally, in this regard, Debarl, I wanted to call upon our development partners. they have been very much supportive of the fight against graft. They should
out.
also help us by availing
Thank
information that the Auditor General requires.
David, briefly 10 seconds.
Let's wait to hear from the Auditor General on this matter. I want to give you the benefit of the doubt. But I also want to say this as I finish, that this country is so sick, Debarl, that if we don't, for a minute, just forget about our politics and look at what are the interests of this country.
Thank you.
Where are we going as a country? We need to look at that debate.
Thank you, David. Okongo, 10 seconds.
To the male child, please, when you seduce a girl and she says no, don't respond by killing them. That's not the way real men should be.
Thank you. On the famous side. Alice, 10 seconds.
The Auditor General, I think the cat has been let off the bag. It's out there. I would be very happy to hear a different answer than the fact that there is no loss in the Eurobond. I think as a government, we needed to give Kenyans a clear message on this particular issue. Jubilee must know that the responsibility of running this government is on Jubilee and it's not on the opposition.
Thank you very much. Right. Thank you for your valuable company in watching this report.